actually. And they said, no, it's not. Well, okay. And we went everywhere, and people said, no, this is, I don't even know what this is the thing. And finally, Norman Lear said to Rob Reiner, just go and make the movie. Here's the money, go and make the movie. Which we did. And then that was the movie. And if it hadn't been for Norman Lear, there would have never been a movie, because he was the only one that said, just go and do this. And we trusted Rob, and then years later, this is not connected to the movie, but years later, when a company called Castle Rock was formed, Rob Reiner said to me, just go and make a movie. And I made a movie called Waiting for Guffman, and then that doesn't happen anymore, where someone says, just go and make your movie. Rob was lucky to have Norman as his patron, and I was lucky to have Rob as my patron, who said, literally just go and make the movie. So that was the genesis of this.
I could be way off here, but was this like the first mockumentary ever made?
Well, we meaning me, call it a mockumentary. That was a term invented by some journalist, and we never liked that, but, sorry. But it was the first movie done in the style that I know of, like this, and it's not something that happens very often. This is, I've explained this in front of some audiences before. We wrote an outline which delineates all the scenes and all the complexities of what happens in the movie, and then we shoot. There's no rehearsal, and there are no lines written. And apart from specific jokes like the lemon joke, because we had to obviously make the thing, it's all on camera.
Before you actually started the shoot, you obviously had to kind of come up with the band, the look of the band, the characters, the songs. There were a lot of things that you had to develop, and one of the things that people always comment on is how accurate the details are in terms of, this is an English band, you're all Americans, but you're playing an English band. The accents, you can testify, are totally flawless. Not just people in the band, but some of the people around the band, like June Chadwick. She's American, but never know.
She's English.
Oh, she's English? Oh, well, that blows that. But can you basically tell us about how you guys actually conceptualized Spinal Tap? And, were there specific models? Were there specific...
There weren't specific people, but there was a genre. You're probably all too young to remember, but in the 80s there were a lot of bands that were very pretentious, shall we say. And a lot of them fancied themselves great artists, and they made these music videos that went on for 20 minutes about unicorns and princesses and Viking, whatever it was. And we thought that was amusing at the time. And we thought it's always good, or it could be good, to be people that thought of themselves very highly and kind of were aiming a little too high. But we wanted to write songs that were engaging. We had been musicians for a long time, and that's the balance in trying to make some songs, because we subsequently went out on tour, and we toured all over the world for 25 years, playing these shows for 2 hours. And if you don't have the songs that can kind of work musically, then you're in trouble. So we had to find the balance, and obviously the concepts are stupid and the lyrics are funny, but we wanted to have this overblown, their sense of themselves is a bit.
Were any of you fans of any of the metal bands at all?
Of certain players, this was not about a specific band, and every band after that would come up to us and say, oh yeah, it's us, right? You're doing us. And no, we're not doing it. But it's that weird thing that after the fact, dozens of bands would come up and say, that's me, it's not you. And people would say, you're doing Jeff Beck, and Jeff Beck said, you're doing me. And I said, no, I'm just me doing this other thing. But it is interesting how that after the fact it becomes some other animal, I guess.
It becomes the property of the world, the rock world at least. All right, let's see if we've got some questions out there. There must be hundreds. Yeah?
Yes, actually, Christopher.
Like this will help.
As far as the base, Spinal Tap being based on, Uriah Heep has come up quite a few times with the
Oh yeah, the question is...
Well, no, not at all. No, it's just, it really was taken from just this overall genre that it's not there's no specific thing in this at all that has anything to do with it. In the 70s, I was in LA in a lobby waiting for a friend at the hotel, and a British band came in. This was probably 76 or something. And a British band came in, the manager went up to the desk, and he was checking in, and he turned, and one of the musicians was just standing there. He says, where's your bass? Where's your bass? He says, what? Where's your bass? Where'd you put your bass? I don't know. What do you mean? I think I left it at the airport. You left your bass at the airport. My what? Your bass. Where's your bass? I don't know, do I? Maybe this went on for 20 minutes. So you're saying you left your bass at the airport? Yeah, well, I don't know, do I? Whose bass? It's your bass. And I thought, wow, I guess somewhere in my head this lodged some sort of, there's something almost like a bizarre one-act play where this kind of circular thing is going around. But there's no specific thing. It's much more interesting to invent, really from the ground up, these people. It's going to obviously overlap, it has to in some way, with the classic sort of girlfriend breaking up the band thing, but that happens with every group. Even with the Philharmonic, I would go into that, that's
But the idea of there being these kind of rotating drummers, that no drummer lasts very long, that seems to be something that was specific to this terrible English band Uriah Heep. So was...
Yeah, well again, it wasn't based on Uriah Heep. I know virtually nothing about Uriah Heep. I mean, I know more from what you just said. I didn't listen to the band, I don't know anything about their history. But okay, great, cool. Go Heep, you know. I'll stick with my story, which it wasn't based on that, but I'm sure they're lovely lads.
Another question. Yeah.
I'm just curious, with you performing, I know the story about you opening up and ending up being open for, but with the crowd...
I don't know what that means, but...
Can you be clearer?
There was a story I heard that at one point you were supposedly opening up for, I don't even remember what band, and you were doing this, and...
Oh.
You got sick, so they...
I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, God, I hope I know what you're talking about.
How much was the audience cued in when they were filming of what was going on, and how much of the audiences in the crowds were like reacting to, okay, this is a band that sounds interesting to watch?
Well, the interesting thing was before we started shooting, we thought, let's go out and play some shows, just to see what happens. And we played a bunch of shows in LA and around LA being Los Angeles, we played at a very famous heavy metal club called Kazari's on the Sunset Strip. And it was a place, and the band that did Ingrata Vida, if you're old enough to remember that song, Iron Butterfly, was a famous band. One of the members, I don't remember which, had an impacted wisdom tooth, and it ended up that they opened for us. It was this most bizarre situation. But we played a bunch of these gigs. Nobody knew the context of this. We were just another band, and we played those sets, and people just say, sure, it's just loud, and whatever it is. So we thought, well, we got away with that. And
did you develop a fan base from that?
From 3 shows, no.
Yeah.
You were just over here, right?
You figured he'd be in my eyeline.
I think in rehearsal you were always supposed to be here. Which is... Thank you. Did you say the left bank did it influence this picture? Yeah. Sure. He was, yeah. Yeah, I have to go, but this has been great. I kind of semi know what you're talking about. He's talking about, there was a group called the Left Bank in the late 60s. Michael McKean was, a guy left, I don't know the names you're talking because I don't know the people. It was a guy named Brown, something Brown? Now you're playing like you don't know. Okay, so Michael McKean he joined the group, but then the group broke up before they got to play. He never actually played with them. So, and that had nothing to do with this. At the time, Michael and I were playing and writing songs together, you know, but this happened. Come on up, seriously. Not literally. No, don't get up. Oh, you grew up in Seacliff. Seacliff, anyone? Yeah. No, it's an interesting question. I don't know what the question was, but it has nothing to do with the left hand.
So, in the bands that you...
I like you better over here, by the way.
In the bands that you have with Michael McKean, what kind of music did you play? And did
Well,
anybody
Michael and I played, we wrote original songs.
What was the genre?
The genre, that was the problem. The genre. Well, in 1967, what was the genre? I don't even know what it was called. It was, I don't even know if there was a name. We thought they were good songs at the time. What do we know?
Was it in the rock vein?
There was some rock, there was some other stuff. I was into bluegrass, but it didn't have anything to do with bluegrass. It's actually more something else that didn't have a name, maybe. Don't know. Skiffle.
Yeah. In the orange. Oh, okay. Why not you? Go ahead. You're halfway up.
When you had previously written songs, did you write comedy songs?
No. I didn't start to write, as you put it, comedy songs until I started working at the National Lampoon. The first year it started in 1970. And I had written something for them, and I said, you know, what I actually like to do is music, and I do some other stuff. And we started doing this series of records. And that's when I started thinking, oh, you know, maybe this is what I should do, is mix some comedy with some music. And that's the first time I did that. With Michael, we were just writing what we thought were real love songs. And, you know, so.
From the heart.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, it's him again.
You've explored rock with Spinal Tap, you've explored folk with Mike and Wayne. Are you going to explore any other musical genres coming up?
Blues jazz.
Blues jazz.
Did everyone hear the question? They did. It's a good question, up to a point. I don't know. You know, these ideas may pop into my head, or they may not. But with those other genres, we are able to use our experience as players to sort of get away with what we have to get away with. We couldn't do classical music because we're not classical players, and we like to really play, and all of this stuff is us playing and stuff. So I don't know the answer. I don't know. Maybe there's a type of music that you know about that I don't.
Yeah. You. Yeah, you. Everyone looks around when I point at them. Yeah, you. No, him. What do you next?
I don't know who's talking. Who's talking?
What's the guy in blue? It's like everyone thinks I'm pointing at them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where I'm pointing.
I'm really hoping you did rewatch the movie now that I asked this. What was your favorite scene to rewatch, and what was your favorite scene that you filmed as you were rewatching?
I did watch the movie, and I hadn't seen it for, I think, about 12 years, roughly. I've only seen it, you know, maybe a handful of times. I liked seeing it, actually. I was surprised. I thought it would freak me out a little bit. But I enjoyed it, and I remembered what it was like to make it, which was fun. We had no idea what was going to happen to it. Just thought, here's this little movie. This was fun to do. I think it's hard to say one scene. You know, I like the scenes where we're all interacting, because it's improvised, and then you see people kind of playing music with each other, as opposed to when you're set up. If I'm being interviewed by Rob Reiner, it's a slam dunk, because you're basically being set up and you're just, you know, kind of doing that. But with other people, it's sort of more of a musical group playing and weaving in and out. But
And then I said you would be next. Where the lady. Yeah, you.
Hi, I just wanted nobody has seen it, the DVD commentary that you guys did.
Yeah.
that?
When did you do it and how was that?
You know, I should know the answer to that. I'm not joking. I'm assuming you're telling the truth. I know we did that. I don't remember when we did it, and I never heard it. I remember we did it. I do remember it, but I never heard it, so I don't know what happened.
Right in the center there, you.
How many fingers do you have on your right hand?
It's a movie reference. I was in a film called Princess Bride. My agent, thank you. Where I had 6 fingers on one hand.